Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello, everyone. Oh, I still have Daniel 3 Biblical Anarchy up there. Well, while I have that up there, go subscribe. That is a YouTube channel. I did an interview there a couple days ago, which was different than any other interview I've ever done. Couple hours of just not the same old, same old. So go subscribe since I have it up there, and I didn't mean to. But let's get up the things that I should be getting up. That's what she said. Okay, 1 second before the bad jokes. I just ate a piece of pizza and it went down the wrong way. And good thing full duck something. I can't see because it's covering my screen right now. This is a version, the song is a version of Battle Scars, but the version I'm using is a remix so that I could use it. But yeah, it's called Battle Scars. If you look up Battle Scars remix on YouTube, you can probably find the version that I'm using as well. Oh, and I meant to have Daniel's name on for the 20 minutes of last show. And hello, Julian. Because people kept asking me which show it was that I was on, and I could just point rather than just saying it. Anyway. Where? Okay. Patreon. I got distracted, as usual. There's my Patreon. I thank you all because, and hello, Michael, I did make up the shortfall. You know, as it happens at the beginning of each month, there's always some natural attrition, and you guys helped me make it up. So, and actually go beyond to start working towards the September goal, which I am not going to bother you guys about. But if you enjoy this content, I do appreciate your support because this is my job right now, and that's how I'm able to put out daily content. Let's get that off the screen because I hate having all of this up on the screen. Was there anything else? Oh, yes. And, you know, I promoted Daniel's show. I don't like doing too many promos. I'll do the book next time. And yes, I'm glad you got the postcard, Michael. It is something I believe strongly in, writing thank you notes, handwritten thank you notes. That's how Amazon made a loyal customer out of me back when they were struggling. I actually got a handwritten thank you note from Jeff Bezos. So he used to be a little guy. Let's just put it that way. What else today? What else did I have to say? Oh, down in the low bar is other ways you can support if you should so desire. There's my Amazon wish list, which always, it's stuff to improve the studio and various other ways. But I just thank you guys so much for helping me make up that shortfall. It's kind of stressful, when you're a YouTuber. That's what I am right now. It's something I did not expect at this point in my life. And as usual, during the stream, super chats are always gratefully received, but not required to get my attention. I'll always thank you, but I try to answer everyone's questions. I don't believe in pay to play. Now, what else? Oh, and in Patreon, though this kind of goes against what I said before, but not really. I set up a private Discord server. All patrons have access to it. But the reason primarily for it is that some of my personal comments on more public social media were being weaponized against me. So I decided I'm taking that stuff to a more intimate Discord server. If becoming even a minimum patron, which is only $1 a month, is a barrier for you, I don't want that to be a barrier for my friends to be able to discuss the more intimate things with me. Just privately let me know. Otherwise, if you can, join Patreon at the minimum level to at least get the Discord server access, which is the benefit for the lowest tiers. The higher tiers, we're doing Radicals for Capitalism right now as our book discussion. So that I just posted the first 2 episodes for that. That's patron only. The book discussions are patron only. Okay, I think that is it. So what's going on in news? Not much. Not much on the LP front. I did want to show you a resolution that was passed by the LP of Colorado. I should have pulled it up. If you all will give me a moment, because I'm like so terrible at getting things ready ahead of time. And I wanted to bring it up in case any of your affiliates wanted to do something similar. This was sent to the LNC. I do not know if the chair of the LNC posted this as requested by the Colorado State Chair, because I'm not following the LNC list right now. I'm too traumatized by those people. So people have just been keeping me up to date on what's going on, if there's something I need to see. But I'll resubscribe to the list eventually. So let me pull this over first to my desktop, because I do have several screens here. And let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. So Colorado passed this. And lest anyone say that I instigated it, I didn't write this. I also didn't move it, and when it was being moved on the floor, I left the room because I didn't feel the board could properly debate or vote something regarding me with me sitting right in front of them. So here, I'll read it aloud, the resolution that the LP Colorado made and forwarded to the board, and then we'll get right into history after this. It says, whereas Karen Ann Harlos has served honorably as Secretary of the National Libertarian Party, and whereas Ms. Harlos was reelected by delegates in 2020 by running on an open and unambiguous campaign promise to oppose and root out corruption from within the party ranks, which is true, by the way, and whereas Ms. Harlos has fulfilled that campaign promise by exposing recent corruption in LPNH that implicated LP National Chair Joe Bishop Henchman, as confirmed by the recent report of the Special Investigative Committee that revealed that the chair guided and likely initiated the strategy of usurpation. And whereas the current Libertarian National Committee has spent more energy and devoted more resources to removing Ms. Harlos from her elected position than it has opposing blatant totalitarianism resulting from the ongoing illegal COVID-19 tyranny state, which is also true. And, this is a long one. Whereas that illegal COVID-19 tyranny state includes stay-at-home orders, forced injections, campaigns to institute vaccine passports, forcible closure of various sectors of the economy, imposition of mask mandates, fascism, medical Jim Crow, enactment of state restrictions against public assembly and religious worship, and other outrageous government lunacies. And boy, when you list them out, it really is freaking terrifying. And whereas the Bill of Particulars removal motion against Ms. Harlos wrongly characterizes criticisms of fellow LNC officials as harassment, inexplicably purports that monetizing libertarian content is somehow immoral and detrimental to the party, and that's you guys. You're helping me be immoral and detrimental to the party, and features a list of minor offenses of decorum that could apply to, yet not prosecuted against, many members of the same body. And whereas the written complaints against Ms. Harlos also raise the absurd claim that the secretary violated the non-aggression principle through public criticism of her peers, effectively redefining and perverting the cornerstone maxima of libertarian philosophy, the non-aggression principle, to include non-aggressive expressions of her own well-founded opinions. And, whereas, by attempting such redefinition and perversion, the complainants seek to embrace completely anti-libertarian positions of censorship and cancel culture, which undermine the fundamental core of the party and libertarianism and could lead to destroying the party. Therefore, resolved, the Libertarian Party of Colorado expressly rejects the suspension attempted removal of Karen Ann Harlos as National Secretary by the LNC, and resolved, the Libertarian Party of Colorado insists that the LNC shift its attention and resources from removing duly elected national officers for personality conflicts and bogus charges to opposing the evil of the state and its widespread propensity to violate individual rights in every corner of the world, especially in this current insane time. I don't know why they put my signature on that. I did not sign this. I'm going to have them I know why. My signature automatically gets appended to blog posts, and this is a blog post. So, yeah, because this was moved and voted on by everyone but me. I even left the room. But I just figured you guys might like to see that, because I'm moving from being the party historian to being a part of party history in a way that I really did not care to be. And that is in opposing the redefinition of the NAP. If this redefinition of the NAP stands, this party is destroyed. I just want you guys to understand that. This is how important my case has become. It's not about me anymore. I'm just a tool, and I'm sure some people will think that in various ways. They certainly do think I'm a tool. Double entendre there, that was used to do this. And we will be talking a lot more about this, because a redefinition of the NAP also happened in Massachusetts. I discussed this in my 4-hour Clubhouse appearance yesterday. But let's get right now to the past history. I normally do a montage, that's more the word, montage video dealing with what went on in the period of time we're discussing right now, that being September, October 73. This show's probably going to be long enough without that. I'll do that in a bonus episode. I'm not sure if we're going to get through the entire issue of LP News, September, October 73 in this one episode. We'll see. It depends on how much you guys want to talk about it, how tired I get. But throughout September and October, we're going to be focusing on this time period and related time periods and doing a ton of bonus content. So never you worry, even with me being a little bit late in doing this, because I like to do this the first week of the month. All right, so let's pull up the issue, shall we? And it's been a while since I did this. It's been a couple months, because with these LP News going every 2 months, we forget. And then when it goes quarterly, it's going to be even more strange. Okay, so here we go. There's the first page of LP News. You can see it, September, October 1973, number 16. subscription was $5 for 12 issues. That's wrong. He forgot to change that because they switched. It's funny how I'm proofreading something from 73. They switched to 6 issues a year, so it'd be $5 for 6 issues, unless that was a 2-year subscription. And you'll note up at the top there as well that the LP's address is now in Aurora, Colorado, rather than Westminster. Aurora, unfortunately, is infamous for being where the Batman theater shooter was. Just a bit of trivia. You can see the headline, LP now third largest nationwide minority party. I had asked that question a while back. When did we become the third largest party? Apparently in 1973. I'm not so sure, though. We've had it continuously since then. I had thought, I'm sorry, this was itching my ear. I had thought we lost that for a while, or that we didn't get this till later, but apparently right now, at least, we had it in Arcarica. Isn't that cheap? National membership was only like $5 too. And I think lifetime was like 50 or something. But here we go. LP now third largest nationwide minority party less than 2 years after it was formed. It kind of somewhat, though, takes the pride of place out of that, doesn't it, if we could do it so quickly. But then again, minority parties have grown since that time. So, you know, it certainly is an accomplishment today. So we're gonna go through this. So sometime in August, combined national and state LP membership. Now, I want to stop right there. We no longer track state LP membership because each state, it's so different and they're not even comparable. Like, for instance, Colorado, we have over 40,000 members in the LPCO. That sounds incredible, doesn't it? It's because we use voter registration as our membership. So we have 40,000 plus registered libertarians. And other states do it by dues payer, and you can't compare the two. It's much more difficult to get dues payers than somebody registered who may not even know they're a member of LPCO. So we no longer track state memberships. However, back then they did. Past the 3,000 mark, according to the best estimates we can make. Apparently it was difficult to estimate it back then as well. And while this may not sound overwhelming in a nation of 210 million people, it is in fact a striking testament to the power of an idea whose time has come and to the dedication of the individuals who have made our growth to date possible. For while 3,000 may not sound like very many at first glance, it is actually quite significant. Because in less than 2 years, the LP has grown to become the third largest nationwide minority party, lagging behind only the American Party and the People's Party in terms of membership. Now, that's interesting. I'm wondering how we measure third largest party today. I don't think it's by membership because not all parties have the membership model. And I really can't answer the question how we measure that today. And the People's Party that is being mentioned back there and back then is not the same People's Party that exists today, which is just forming out of the Bernie Bros movement for a People's Party. I'm not sure if the American Party still exists. Somebody might want to, you little researchers who helped me Google during the show, let me know if the American Party still exists. All right. This means that we have surpassed such older and better financed parties as the Communist, Socialist Workers, and Socialist Labor parties. I know the Socialist Workers Party still exists, and are hot on the heels of the two big minority parties. Oh, I see now. Never mind. I misunderstood this headline. We're the third minority party, not the third largest party as we are now. Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So we're behind the American Party and the People's Party at this time. Got it. Because I was going to be like, that's awful fast to be the third largest party in the country. Not the same thing. Okay. Looking at it another way, we are now in the same league as the American Party, which had the benefit of the multi-million-dollar Wallace campaign in '68 and over 5 years in which to grow, and the People's Party, which has also had 5 years and many hundreds of thousands of dollars to work with. So Wallace was a third party candidate. Did not realize that. Didn't even ever hear of the American Party. So Tyler, is the American Party the same as the American Independent Party? I don't know. Furthermore, both the AP and the PP are losing ground. The AP has been deserted by both Walsh and Smiths. Their current paid membership is estimated at less than 20,000. We don't even have 20,000 right now, by the way, of national members. The People's Party is a coalition coming apart at the seams. Their recent national organizing conference, their equivalent of our Cleveland Convention, drew only 48 registrants from 17 states, including their national officers and observers from other minority parties. Furthermore, there is considerable dissatisfaction within the ranks in both the AP and the PP. The AP has recently purged a number of their state chairmen and appears to be moving rapidly towards the most repressive form of right-wing reactionism. Members with even the slightest sympathy for civil libertarianism are leaving in droves. Analogously, the People's Party is rapidly moving leftward, go figure, now taking the stand that no compromise with capitalism is possible. As a result, civil libertarians who were attracted to the PP despite its very mixed economic philosophy are now leaving as the hard-line socialists become completely dominant. And I see Michael says the American Party also still exists. Now, I believe one of those two parties is like Nazis. I thought I read about that in Independent Political Report. I don't, though, want to slander them if I'm wrong. So I wonder if somebody could let me know what they believe. Maybe it's the American Freedom Party. I think it's the American something party that is like basically white supremacist. These developments are to be welcomed from our viewpoint. And I'm looking here. I'm going to put up here Duck Speaker. Funny how different the situation is in the U.S. from my home of Canada. The People's Party here is a Miesian minarchist party. Interesting. And the LP here is a tiny ANCAP party. I would love to have a fully ANCAP party here. Anyway, but are they really, though, all ANCAPs? Because I know the leader is ANCAP. Ah, got it. It's the Independence Party is the, aren't the Independence Party, is that the, like, fascists? I know there's some American something party that's fascist. No, so go back to he of the duck speaking. I know the leader, actually, the LP in Canada had its convention, so the leader, isn't the leader now a Randian, so would be explicitly minarchist? I know there's ANCAPs in the LP, and the former leader is a hardcore ANCAP. But, okay, somebody's got to figure out which one's the fascist for me. No, and these people are actually fascists, because I used to write about them when I was writing at IPR. And it's just driving me crazy now which one it is. Anyway, you guys let me know. They might not even exist anymore. They were super, super small at the time. Okay, continuing. For this reason, it is now more important than ever that we place equal stress on our support for economic freedom and civil liberties. If we redouble our efforts on both fronts, it seems virtually certain that we can easily outdistance the People's Party in the near future. There is already talk that the PP and the other left-wing parties may merge into one organization in the next year or so. Yeah, but wouldn't that then increase their membership? It doesn't seem like he dealt with that, because you merge a bunch into one and then they're bigger than any of the individual parts. Indeed, we now predict that by 76, there will be only 3 significant minority parties: ourselves, the American Party, and a united socialist party of some sort, all approximately equal in strength. And by 1980, we are confident that the Libertarian Party will be the third party in America. Okay, let's see. On the bottom there, with that little kind of weirdly shaped box, FLP slate on ballot for New York City election. For those of you who missed past episodes or don't recall, the FLP is the Free Libertarian Party. In New York, they could not use the name. Oh, and thank you, DJelf7. You notice the older People's Party I'm talking about here, which is not the People's Party that you and I are so familiar with. Thank you so much for the super chat. And actually, this is a good place to mention this because I'm sure some people will give me crap when they learn about this. I am assisting some state affiliates in the People's Party with taking a look at their bylaws. Before anyone thinks I'm turning traitor on the LP, as you guys, or a lot of you should know, I am studying to be an RP, a registered parliamentarian, which means that I will, in the future, hopefully get paid to do such work. Until such time, I am building my resume by working with whoever would like to work with me, realizing that I am not a registered parliamentarian. So I volunteer my services at LP conventions, and I'm their convention parliamentarian for free. I hope to specialize in political parties, but I will never charge the LP, which means if I want to make any kind of money out of this, and I'm a good capitalist, I will be working for other parties, just like Richard Brown, who is our convention parliamentarian, is not a libertarian. He is a Republican. The libertarian who's donating his services to help me on my appeal also is not a libertarian. So, if people want to get really upset about this, they can get upset about it. But I probably, when I get my RP, will be working regularly for other political parties. And I would be perfectly fine if it ended up being the People's Party. I believe the process is to be respected no matter what we think of the ideology. And it's to the benefit of other political parties to get someone from the outside because they are not part of any factional disputes. In fact, it's probably best for someone like the People's Party to get someone like me where I don't have any sympathies towards their ideology at all. So even not being part of any factional dispute, I won't have any sympathies to any of their factional disputes and can be completely and absolutely objective about the parliamentary issues they face. So I'm just getting that out there, that I would be more than pleased one day to be the National Convention parliamentarian for the People's Party. It would be a great honor, even though I absolutely disagree with everything they ideologically stand for. Anyway, just wanted to get that out there. I am sure some people will try to make a lot of hay out of that. Too bad, so sad. I was very pleased to be asked. I'm very honored to be asked. All right, continuing. But thank you again, because I never know how to pronounce that screen name. I never know how to pronounce DJelf7, is that correct? He's the one who helped hook me up with that, by the way. Tyler, you know that I am left of center myself. I have no problem with recognizing people's pronouns. And I call people whatever they'd like to be called. And when people make the joke that says, well, I'm an attack helicopter, I'll call you an attack helicopter if that's what you want. It's no skin off of my nose. And it doesn't bother me in the slightest. And I absolutely do try to use people's correct pronouns. Not sorry if that triggers anybody. I just think it's basic personal respect. Okay, FLP slate. And actually, you want to laugh. I mean, some people will laugh like in a way I wouldn't approve of, but if you just want to laugh because you're envisioning these stuffy old men. And JJ, I think, saw this conversation where I went to the Robert's Rules forum where there is a bunch of stuffy old men, and asked them, what do we do in parliamentary situations where there might be people who we don't know what their pronouns are or how they identify, and that this very easy assumption of, Mr. Chair, Ms. Chair, or whatever, any position, Madam Secretary, Mr. Secretary, isn't quite so easy. What if they're non-binary type of thing? And they really just thought I was coming in there, I think, to cause shit, and I wasn't. In the LP, that is a legitimate question. I think it's going to become an even more legitimate question as time goes on. And I don't think I really got a straight answer on that, but me and Mike Seaback came to the conclusion, just use their title. If you're unsure. And I don't really know how that would work with, say, well, this is where it came into be. So instead of saying Mr. Chair, you could say Chair Harlos. My husband is Chair of Colorado. I wasn't trying to give myself the title of Chair. Or Secretary Harlos rather than Madam Secretary. I'm not going to argue this issue with you, Tyler. Just by the way, you can have your opinion. We disagree, and we've disagreed on things before. And instead of recognizing Mr. Harris at the microphone, Mike and I said, well, you could always just say Delegate Harris. And I think that is an easy way to solve that issue. And it also helps you in embarrassing situations, like, remember the Saturday night skit of Pat, and nobody could figure out, because the name Pat can be a boy or a girl, and Pat looked very, androgynous, you couldn't tell. That would solve that problem, wouldn't it? So there's always solutions, I think. And I agree with you, Brian, that anyone who disapproves of a person using the free market to make money isn't even a small L libertarian. I think they would think I'm somehow aiding and abetting the enemy by giving good parliamentary advice to an opposition party. Then, I just think that's silly. It's not helping their ideology. And I think everybody, even socialists, have rights, and I believe in upholding parliamentary rights. And again, what I know is politics, so that's what I would like to specialize in. All right, so we're back here to the Free Libertarian Party, the FLP. For some reason, I don't remember why, someone from New York who knows the New York LP history, I need to ask Andrew who's on the historical committee with me. For some reason, they couldn't use the, helping them to operate is assisting the opposition. Some people will think that. But then again, all of us have jobs where we might be assisting even bigger opposition that's in violation of rights. Anyone who has a problem with that can have a problem with that. I don't care. I'll put it to you that way. I actually would much prefer to work for a minor party than the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. And who knows? Someone may get very curious by seeing my parliamentary work, talk to me on the side, and end up being a libertarian. You just never know. I could find better ways to operate the LP by observing the inner workings of an up-and-coming new minor party. Because one thing I'll give the People's Party, they still have the fire of their first love, which is something we lost a long time ago in the LP, which is one reason why I've enjoyed observing them. Because I've been observing them for a while now. Anyway, and the state parties share my distaste of the National People's Party right now. I think Nick Brana is a little dictator, and the state parties seem to share my opinion of that. And if I can help them be autonomous and not get completely trampled by the National Party, I'm glad to help. Okay. FLP slate on ballot for New York City election. Only hours before press time, we received a long-distance phone call from Gary Greenberg in New York telling us that it is 99.9% certain that the Free Libertarian Party slate will be on the ballot for the upcoming elections in New York City on November 6th. The FLP filed petitions containing a heroic 2,500 signatures on August 21st, nearly 3 times the required 7,500. As of press time, no challenges to the FLP petitions had been filed, and barring a personal challenge from rival candidates, none can be filed from now on. Immediately upon filing their petitions, the FLP candidates began receiving excellent media coverage. mayoral candidate Fran Youngstein has been interviewed for radio, TV, and newspaper stories several times already. The major races are Fran's mayoral bid and Gary's race for district attorney. He is the only opponent to incumbent Frank Hogan. I don't know why I had such trouble reading this. So something I noticed from these old issues is we used to get a lot more media coverage than we do now. We get a lot of alternative media coverage now, but we got mainstream media coverage then, and I'm not so sure why that is. But you can see at the bottom of the screen here, they said where you can donate to Fran's campaign and Gary's campaign, and I need to make sure I have that address for the Free Libertarian Party. Stephen knew the answer. I keep forgetting this. Let me put this on the screen. I need to add this to Lpedia. Thank you so much, Stephen. New York state law used to prohibit parties with similar sounding names or parties with independent in the name. And that actually makes sense to me. Libertarian was deemed to be similar to Liberal Party, so they went with FLP. So has the Liberal... Okay, so what changed? If you know, Stephen, not to put you on the spot, has the Liberal Party gone defunct, or did the state law change? I'd be very curious as to that. Oh, and that's a neat bit of trivia. Wallace couldn't get the American Independent Party on the New York ballot, so he called it the Courage Party. All right, that's a bit of political trivia. One day someone might win Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with that. And they'll have to give you a cut. That's all I have to say. All right, let's go to the next page here. Bits and pieces. Now, those of you who have been doing this show with me for a while will be like, wait, bits and pieces is on page 2? Bits and pieces used to be the last page. I don't know why they changed it. And there's no political perspective in this issue the way there used to be, which was basically like an op-ed, usually by David Nolan, but sometimes by other people. I don't know why it wasn't in this issue. Maybe they'll mention this somewhere in here. But bits and pieces is on the second page. Don't come for me. All right. XCOM, rules on life memberships. Remember, the LNC used to be called the Executive Committee. I'm not sure when that name changed. I'm sure we will find out. In response to a request for a ruling. This is weird. Like, okay, you could tell they did things a little more loosey-goosey back then. The LP National XCOM has voted that life and life-sustaining memberships are not refundable in case of a later change of heart. That is funny. Okay. I never knew there was an official ruling on that, but if anyone asked you, there had been an official ruling on that. We used to have both life and life-sustaining memberships. I don't know when life-sustaining went away. But again, if you're wondering these different categories. IAI, which is International Arbitrage Incorporated, I guess? I don't know. Constant's not acceptable currency. Due to some unfortunate experiences, I wonder what those unfortunate experiences were. I have no idea. That was never covered before. I wonder if it's in some minutes somewhere. LP National has adopted a policy of not accepting international arbitrage constants in payment for material or dues. U.S. currency or gold will be accepted. LP National used to accept gold? That is fucking awesome. We should accept gold now. Huh. Would somebody be bringing in gold bars to Tyler? I never heard of international arbitrage constants. Maybe we'll do a bonus episode on that. And the funny thing is, each time I say this about bonus episodes, I forget. I'm going to open a little notepad here and let me jot this down, because I'll forget that I said, let me look at this to do a bonus. So it's international. Okay. Well, right now, Otto, I'm weaponizing my autism just to mock the absolute ridiculousness of this current LNC and their short-sightedness in being so desperate to get rid of one pesky-haired secretary that they fucking redefine the non-aggression principle. Okay? I'm going to keep saying that because I don't think it's gotten through everyone's skull that that's what happened. Alrighty. 1973 Libertarian Handbook published. Oh, those were the NPCs you meant. Oh, I thought you meant People's Party people. Okay. 1973 Libertarian Handbook published. I have this. If you remember, we went through the entire, or almost the entire, I think we've got a little bit more to go, 1972 Libertarian Handbook. So we definitely, let me put this in my notes too. I'm typing this down because I should have a little notepad here because my memory sucks. So, L Handbook. I don't think I'd forget that though, but that will be something else we'll be going through. Everything you always wanted to know about the Libertarian movement, this is an article, is in the new 1973 Libertarian Handbook published by Avenue Victor Hugo, who was the major publisher of these types of things. Tyler asked some question of FEC wise. I know nothing about FEC law, so I have no frickin' idea. Alrighty. This year's edition runs 112 pages, densely packed with information on individuals, organizations, publications, and issues. Overall, it is an excellent reference work, although two minor faults should be noted. One is that articles... What? Oh, got it. One is that articles sometimes suddenly disappear at the end of a page with no clue as to where they resume, so I guess they didn't put a continued on. The other is a lack of critical data in the listings. Even the schlockiest outfits are described as professional and well-run. Dave is a student of Yiddish, apparently, because schlockiest is Yiddish, which I am very familiar with coming from South Florida. Nonetheless, the Libertarian Handbook is an unmatched source of information about every aspect of the movement, and at $2 is a super bargain. And the speaker of Duck said, I wish, let me just put this up here, wishes they had somebody up in the Great White North that cared about the inside baseball stuff. Until I came along, I don't think that there was anyone else doing this as well. A lot of people didn't think like enough people would care. And I guess also a lot of people, they had different goals for their YouTube channel. You know, they do a lot of bigger name interviews because, you know, they're looking to be huge channels. I would love to be a huge channel, but I'm also happy being a small niche channel with a very dedicated following, which is kind of what I've already developed at under 3,000 subscribers. So it'd be great to be big, but I like doing a niche that somebody else isn't covering. And Brian says, my memory sucks is not a good thing to put on a registered parliamentarian's resume. I remember things like Roberts. Like, I remember things that are most people would consider boring, but I don't remember what I had for breakfast. You know, so my sucky memory is pretty selective. You know, and I do love Tim Moen. I did an interview with him, if you guys didn't know. I think you were there for that one, Duck Speaker. I think I remember you in comments for that Tim Moen interview. I could be wrong, but I thought you were in comments for that interview. I love Tim. Tim's a badass. I absolutely adore him. Okay, continuing. Oh, Brian, okay. No, I didn't know it was a joke. Okay, sometimes you do have to explain to people, autists, when you're joking, because sometimes sarcasm goes right over our head. I'm like serious. Like, I'm better than most people with autism. Why I want to record my shirt. Why wouldn't I want to record my shirt? because I'll get demonetized for having tit on my shirt. I'm going to get demonetized for my filthy mouth anyway. I was saying to my husband, though, I really love this shirt because it's like the cut of it makes my boobs look gigantic. I mean, they're already pretty nice to begin with, but it makes them look gigantic, and then it says tit across it, which is just delicious. Anyway, I don't know what it is about the cut of... Oh, okay, Tyler. Yeah, I know. Oh, and speaking of live stream harnesses, you know what I'm going to do? I just came up with this, by the way, and I haven't told Wayne yet, because he's going to help me, and I'm always volunteering him for stuff. I have the best husband in the entire world. Okay, I just decided, well, I'm booking next year's convention appearances for either my re-election, depending on what happens with my appeal, or my reinstatement campaign to national secretary. And I'm booking my first appearances. It's January 15th and January 16th. I'm already doing the one day in one state, one day in another state. So January 15th, I will be in Tucson, Arizona for their convention. And then January 16th, I'll be in Douglasville, Georgia for their convention. And Ryan, I would love to come hang out with you guys in North Carolina if I can work it out. Priority goes to those states that ask me to come be a speaker. Now, neither Georgia or Arizona have done that, but I always go to the Arizona convention because it's the first convention of the year. I've never, ever since I started going to other states' conventions, I've never missed an Arizona convention. And then Georgia, for some reason, is having an early one this year. I'm going to be in Oklahoma. I'm a speaker, I think, in Oklahoma. I don't know if they finalized that. And I've got more. I don't know. They're in my book. But the earliest ones are January. I've been to Alaska, by the way. I've been to Alaska and Hawaii. I'm trying to make states this year that I've never been to. There's about 20 of them I think I haven't been to yet. Let me get back on my story here. So, coming into the really hardcore convention season where I will not be home for like 3 months straight. And some days I'll be, the last time I did this, I was in New Hampshire on Saturday and in California on Sunday. Like, it is as bad as that. Well, I decided I'm going to do for this channel, like a documentary. I know he's disgraced now, so I don't want to use his name, but like a Shane Dawson style, like, documentary. So you won't see it until it's all put together. And yeah, because I think you guys might find it fun, or at least interesting if I piece together, like, and condense those 3 months into like an hour documentary or something, or a 2-hour documentary. But Wayne will have to help me, and he doesn't know this yet. I think I'm going to film telling him tonight that will like to be the beginning of the documentary. And I think also like getting the tail end of this appeal and all that would be very interesting, right? I think so. And if I think it's interesting, at least 2 other people might think it's interesting. All right, back on track. Back on track. Where were we at? Oh, the September issue of Commentary, a highly respected liberal magazine, contains a full-page ad. Have you guys ever heard of Commentary? When I see this in here, I go and try to buy these old issues. So I'll try to find this. A highly respected liberal magazine contains a full-page ad for the Libertarian Party. Thanks for preparing this very professional and appealing ad. Go to Norm Muchnick and Rick Murdoch of New York. I've never heard of this magazine. I'll go on eBay. While you guys are here, why not, right? Let's go to eBay. Just give me a moment. And let's see if we can find... Angela McCardle's beating me, Tyler, in convention traveling. Commentary, September 1973. Let's see if eBay has this. Creepy magazine, no. Intellectual Digest. This must be somewhat obscure. Have any of you guys ever heard of Commentary? Ooh, that's a nice Playboy from 1973. That's really nice. Okay. Stop it. I'll stop looking at the girl's butt. I do not see Commentary magazine. This had to be something. He said it was highly respected. It's not even on eBay. Oh, here we go. Commentary. No, that's not it. All right. Well, if any of you guys can try to figure out what that magazine is, I'd like super appreciate it. Because if I could find it, I'd get a copy to take a look at that ad and show you guys. But generally, if I can't find it on eBay, yeah, 70s Playboys are amazing. And I've picked up a few for this history thing. Of course, it was for the articles because LP was mentioned in some articles. And I would never get Playboy for anything other than the articles. Wink, wink. Okay. Open Forum in Newsweek has brought to our attention that Newsweek magazine has a one-page feature called My Turn, where individuals may present their views on the issues of the day. Newsweek has been the best of the 3 weekly news magazines as far as covering the libertarian movement. Yeah, I've been... I've been very inconsiderate with my Playboys. We suggest that those of you who are handy with a pen or typewriter take a crack at My Turn. 3 more financial angels. Okay. I've been keeping track, by the way, on Lpedia. When they mention new life members, there'll get to be a point, I think, where they stop mentioning them. But as long as they're mentioned, I've been documenting it. So it says, thanks this month go to Bob Steiner of New Jersey and William Fisher of Michigan for becoming life members. What's a patron member? And to Tony Nathan for becoming our first patron member. This is the first I've ever heard of a patron member. I have no idea what that is. This has never been mentioned before. I don't get it. I don't know what a patron member is. Stephen Lenabrary, if you're still here, do you know? XCOM meeting, Denver, November 24th at the Radisson Hotel all day. Observers welcome. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Wall Street Journal notes decline in public's confidence in politicians. They shouldn't. Oh, God. Okay. Alan T. Otten, writing in the Wall Street Journal August 9th, devoted a column to the observation that there is an increasing revulsion against the political pros. Thanks to Watergate, Mr. Otten notes, people across the country are beginning to feel that it's time to throw the rascals out. Nobody ever uses the word rascals anymore. I think we need to bring that back. Those 11 rascals who suspended me. No, that word is too cute for those 11. When I say rascal, for some reason I think of a raccoon. And they're adorable, and no, never mind. A feeling that makes the traditional advantage of incumbency into a liability. Public sentiment, he says, seems to be, we can't do any worse and we might do better. Scallywags. Yeah, that's kind of, though, cute, too. I think I'll just stick with, bastards and scumbags. By throwing out the present office holders and replacing them with people who say, I've never run for office before, but isn't it time we had someone in there who thinks as we do? Okay, food for the hungry. Our observation in the last LP News, chuckle fucks. I like that. I also like Mike Seebeck's chowder heads for some reason. And of course, there is the good old rat fucks. Okay. That it might be smart to stock up on food supplies prompted a letter from Mike Oliver of Nevada, noting that he is a distributor for the Permapack line of dried and preserved food. Oh, God, I love capitalists. If you're interested in learning more about this form of protection against disaster, right, Mike? I love capitalists. A.A. Folds, BFL, has Hosper's record. Dr. Hospers informs us that the Academic Associates has gone into bankruptcy and that anyone wishing copies of his Politics of Liberty, records or tape, I didn't know he did some kind of recording, can now get them through Books for Libertarians, and he has the address. Has anyone ever heard Hosper's Politics of Liberty in recording? Do you remember when you could get like lectures on LP? I mean, you know, long playing record. You know, vinyl is what I'm trying to say. I do. I'm old. Liberty Amendment prospects good. Well, it turned out they weren't so good, does it? Willis Stone, national chairman of the Liberty Amendment Committee, informs us that chances are good for legislative action on the Liberty Amendment resolution in Michigan, possibly this year. And for next year, Oklahoma, Maryland, Florida, Delaware, and Alaska. If you live in one of these states, drop your legislature a line indicating your support. Ponte, column devoted to LP. I have no idea who Lowell Ponte is. Apparently some syndicated column, so I could probably look this up at newspapers.com, which I do have a subscription to, which y'all's super chats and patronage help pay for, because that is a cost thing. Lowell Ponte, okay, for July 25th, which is carried in numerous papers, was devoted to telling of the government spying on former Utah LP Chairman Carl Bray. I definitely am going to need to look this up. Lowell asked how come it's a big deal when Republicans spy on Democrats, but everyone ignores it when Republicans spy on Libertarians. Good question. Best coverage of the 73 LP election was in the July issue of A is A News, which is now $3 for 12 issues. That's even cheaper than the LP News. A is A was not out for long, as you can tell. That's an Ayn Randian type of publication. I have a couple issues of it, but not many. I've been looking for others, and they are just really, really hard to find. But I'll see if I have this July issue, and we'll make that a, whatchamacallit, a bonus episode. These sorts of things where I go and buy this additional material that's not in the LP archives is also part of what you guys help pay for. And if it is at all directly LP related, I turn around and donate it to the party to put it into the party archives. If it's something that's really, it's just tangentially related, like Playboy magazines, I don't donate those, but I do give you guys the benefit of the information that's there within. Though it would be funny to donate the Playboy to the party archives, though. All right. Come on, now, next page. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm sitting here trying to switch pages, and it's because I'm not on y'all's screen. It did switch pages. There we go, right? Yeah, bits and pieces. Okay, right now. Spotlight on state parties. Okay, let's see what's going on in state parties. And as long as you guys aren't tired, there's just a couple more pages. We might do this whole issue, and each week we'll be doing bonuses. I'm still interested. I didn't know if I'd be bored by this time. Okay. Alaska LP continues to grow slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley. Our northernmost state still has the highest concentration of LP members per capita of any state in the nation, and it's still very high. I don't know who's the highest per capita. It still might be Alaska. I know they're in the top 5 per capita because they always get a platform committee seat on that basis. So is New Hampshire. And then the states that kind of go in and out. What newsletter are you talking about, Brian? Oh, where am I reading this? On Elpedia. While you guys are looking at it online, I downloaded a copy from Elpedia. Everything that I show on this show that isn't copyrighted by some outside entity is publicly available through Elpedia as part of the party archives. If it's something that's only in my personal collection that I purchased, I'll let you know. Otherwise, it's all publicly available. So you can find all of these LP news on Elpedia. Chairman Grant LaPointe reports that the party has had great success at gaining public interest by using a 20-question quiz and a large 2-axis political system map. This might be one of the first uses of the world's smartest political quiz. And it's kind of on the LP.org website through Elpedia. Elpedia is owned by the Libertarian Party, and Elpedia is mentioned in the footer. But historical things that go back like more than 10 years are not on the main LP.org. They're on Elpedia, which is the party's historical archive. I always just assume everyone knows about Lpedia, but most people don't, and I shouldn't assume that. Many passersby took the quiz and then plotted their own position on the chart, subsequently brought others over to compare positions. Grant states it is no exaggeration to say that we had the most talked about political booth at the fair and were mentioned from time to time during the following months on the local talk shows. Awesome. Oh, Canadian Monopoly money. Thank you, Speaker of the Ducks. I truly, truly appreciate it. Those, again, I just super appreciate it. This is my job right now, so it is very, very appreciated again. And I would be open, Tyler, to be the parliamentarian of LPNH. Again, I never charge libertarians. As far as like parliamentary services, if they want me to do it, they got to get me there, you know. But as far as for parliamentary services, and sometimes they can get a 2-for-1 thing. They get me there, I can be a speaker as well, because I know LPs, you know, we run on a shoestring budget. Arizona LP is preparing to mount a massive petition drive to obtain recognition as an official ballot qualified political party. They are still battling that to this day. Arizona has some of the weirdest laws, like just in general. Like who can be a delegate at convention is just precinct men. They judge their ballot access by percentage of voter registration by county and not statewide. It's just truly bizarre. California LP continues to be one of the most active and rapidly growing parties in the nation. CLP representatives, including John Hospers, John Taylor, Ed Crane, Ed Clark, and Bill Sussels, wow, a lot of heavy hitters there, have made several speaking appearances around the state. Dr. Hospers delivered his second annual 4th of July address in Reseda, and we read that out loud, I believe. Where CLP's Region 11 had arranged a picnic, other regions have been hosting speakers of many viewpoints, including Willa Stone, Gary Allen, Jim Miller of the San Francisco ACLU. That is when the ACLU was actually civil libertarians. California libertarians were also active in the anti-tax and anti-draft demonstrations this summer. CLP Chairman Ed Clark has joined with leaders of other minority parties in a suit to strike down California's extremely discriminatory ballot qualification laws. CLP also held a press conference and cocktail party for New York mayoral candidate Fran Youngstein when she was in Los Angeles in late July. It's interesting to me that they had anti-draft demonstrations over the summer when the Vietnam War ended in January, was it, of 73? I mean, I know you still had to sign up for selective service, but it would seem to me the draft was not a direct threat by the time summer came around. Again, people who lived through this would be able to say better. You know, I'm looking back at something I hadn't studied before. I'd be interested in why they would be doing an anti-draft demonstration in the summer of 73. Colorado. Colorado LP also arranged a press conference and social get-togethers for Fran in early August. I need to look her up in newspapers.com and let's see what kind of press she got. The Mile High State LP is planning its second annual state convention in October. Hope for attendance is 100. You want to know, now that I live here in Colorado, it's like the Mile High State. You know, we have mountains that are higher than a mile, like, right? But I thought the draft ended like before, when Vietnam ended. And Vietnam ended in January. But anyway, so why do they make such a big deal? Denver, the mile high city. You know, we have cities that are higher than a mile high. Like, that's not, Denver in elevation really isn't like a big deal here. So I don't get, I guess it's just that phrase has a lot of like marketing power to it. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay. Connecticut LP, reorganizing under the leadership of Fran Moore. There was a lot of Frans then. Have you noticed that? Fran Youngstein, Fran Moore. I don't know a single Fran right now. Do you? Does anyone know a Fran? And is that short for like Francine, maybe? I don't know. That's an old-fashioned name. Florida Libertarians have formed a committee to organize the Florida LP. I thought they were organized by 73, but I guess they were not. And have sent out a mailing to several hundred prospects they expect to get rolling this fall, according to temporary chairman Rick Spillman. Hawaii LP had a booth at Hawaii. So the Hawaii LP was formed before the Florida LP? Interesting. Oh my God, check out this name. Handed out copies of a federal horoscope. That is awesome. HORROR scope, which attracted many people's attention. That's something that should be recreated. They also had a fundraising dinner July 4th with another scheduled this fall. They've been encouraged by off-the-record remarks from GOP leaders to the effect that the time may be ripe for the libertarian movement to make headway in Hawaii. All right. Illinois LP has inaugurated a regularly monthly series of dinner meetings in Chicago with prominent libertarians as speakers. LPI has submitted a bid jointly with Wisconsin LP for the 74 convention and has also announced its intention of bidding for the 76 convention. Well, they didn't get the 74 convention. That was in Dallas. I don't know who got the 76 convention. And since you guys aren't familiar with Lpedia, let's look that up, but I'll show you Lpedia because I do this kind of in the background, but let me pull up my main screen first so I can do what I'm doing. Let me go back to this screen a second and share my screen. I'm getting better at Ecamm. Okay, here is Lpedia. So it's lpedia.org. It's a wiki. We use the same software as Wikipedia. So I wanted to look up the 76 convention, and I just happen to know our naming conventions. We go National Convention 1976. But no matter how you searched for it, you would eventually find it. Let's see where this was at. Nope, this was in Washington, D.C. So Illinois did not win its bid to host the 76 convention. And you can see there's a lot of room to add information. We are rebuilding the party's history. Okay? There's a lot here that we don't know. So, like for instance, let me show you guys something. National bylaws. Let's just, for this page, for instance. Here's our list of what I have from our national bylaws. You can see we have 72, 74. Then all of a sudden it jumps to 80. Why do we have two? September and August. I need to check this out. This doesn't make no sense. One of these is wrong. And then it goes 85, 89. As you can see, we're missing some. Okay, this is bothering me. We can't have two 1980 bylaws. Somebody put something wrong in here. Okay, let's look here. Look at this PDF. Bylaws. Okay, this is 81, not 80. Derp. What page? Did this say 80? It says 81. Then why over here does it say 80? Somebody put the wrong title in there. Okay, I'll have to fix that. And this one should be 80. Yes. Okay, sorry. You could see, you know, this is user submitted just like Wikipedia. But if you were looking for those LP News, you would just go here, LP News. Whoop, I put P News. LP News. And you can see we have every single issue of LP News here. And we were in 73, and this is what I was looking at right here. Okay, so now you know how to find it. Let's go back to where we were. Let me close this and go back here. I don't have a middle click. I've got an old scrolly thingy. That's the technical word. I don't have a middle click on it, I don't think, but I'll check that out. Okay, we're back to Spotlight on state parties. Alrighty. Kentucky LP is easily the most active of our smaller parties. Chairman Susan Brown has been in the forefront. There's a lot of Susans then too, by the way, of anti-draft activities in the state. See, more anti-draft. This is September. The draft ended. Okay, I'll try that, Brian. I just don't want to do it here and fuck something up. And the Kentucky LP has been the leading outspoken opponent of a new Kentucky law that discriminates against blacks by requiring sickle cell tests for young black couples who apply for a marriage license. Wow, that is pretty shitty. Susan has been publicizing the KLP and the libertarian philosophy via an excellent series of articles in the Louisville Defender. The KLP has also started its own newsletter, the Libertarian Front. What is the Louisville Defender? I'm going to have to look that up as well. Louisiana LP has been making its opinions felt by the state's constitutional committee, which is proposing recommendations for a new state constitution. State Representative Woody Jenkins, a libertarian, is the swing vote on the Bill of Rights Committee and has been gaining media coverage by voting with the committee's 4 conservatives on some points and its 5 liberal members on others to produce a fairly libertarian report. Woody is working with the Louisiana LP whenever possible and recently sent out a tabloid to voters in his district, which contained, among other things, a reprint of your editor's, and that would be David Nolan, political systems analysis article. Maryland LP has been growing by leaps and bounds. Didn't they use that phrase earlier here? Didn't we just say that phrase, leaps and bounds? Anyway, I just kind of just stuck out at me. Since the National Convention, thanks to the tireless efforts of temporary chairman William Bobick, his wife Peggy, and Stephen and Barbara McLean of Baltimore, membership is now over 30. That's leaps and bounds, I guess. Triple what it was 3 months ago. Oh, bless their heart. The Maryland crew also worked with Region 7 XCOM member Eric Scott Royce of Virginia, distributing LP literature at the recent Young Americans for Freedom convention in Washington, D.C. Several new members were recruited, but Scott reports that YAF is projecting more and more as a has-been organization, and they were supplanted by YAL. I don't think Young Americans for Freedom even exists anymore. Most of the early LP came out of that organization. Michigan LP now has over 100 members, nearly half of whom turned out for the MLP's annual convention in Detroit last May. A MLP member, Richard Durant, will be seeking the GOP because a lot of times then we did go under other tickets because we didn't have ballot access. Gubernatorial nomination in Michigan. I do need to write it down, Brian. Next year, Michigan LP hopes to generate publicity on his behalf by having the 74 convention in Detroit. They did not. It ended up being in Dallas. Minnesota LP has been sponsoring a series of lectures on the basic principles of objectivism. Now, it's very interesting this was mentioned in... No, YAL exists. It's YAF, the Young Americans for Freedom. The Young Americans for Freedom, YAF, I think turned into YAL. I do not think YAF still exists. YAL is very much alive and kicking. Jess Mears, who used to be LP staff, is now on YAL staff, but they just had that big scandal with that guy who was sexually harassing people and taking credit for Apollo Pizzel's efforts. So, anyway. Now, Minnesota LP, Basic Principles of Objectivism. Back in 73, there was not this, at least in America, divorce between libertarianism and objectivism. There's very few objectivists left in America, at least, and the ones that exist are not generally in the LP. Now, I found it really interesting when Tim Moen of Canada had said to me that the new leader is an objectivist, because that's a rare thing here in America. There's not many, and the ones that exist are not in the Libertarian Party. So I'm very curious if Duck Speaker, is objectivism still like a decently sized thing in Canada, and are they friendly with libertarianism? Because it's almost a hostile relationship in America. or in the U.S. I know a lot of people get really upset because, but I mean, it's true. Like America, like, is actually larger. There's North America and South America, and we Americans, meaning United States people, tend to like think it's all about us. So I try to be careful about that. In the United States, okay, so objectivist. I think objectivism's kind of died a lot when Ayn Rand did. But yeah, so I was fascinated to hear that your new leader is an objectivist. I wonder how strongly objectivist, though. Because again, Ayn Rand hated libertarians. Okay. Next. Okay. Next page for you guys. There we go. Now next page for me, because I'm reading off a different screen. Oh, we're still talking about... Look, LP of Canada! Duck Speaker, we're talking about... Let's go to that first. Before we go back to the U.S. ones, let's do this LP of Canada one. Isn't that funny? LP of Canada has never been mentioned in LP News so far. You're here, and now it's here. Kismet. LP of Canada to convene in October. The international nature, and I didn't realize the LP of Canada existed this far back. So it kind of started the same time the U.S. one did then. LP of Canada convened in October. The international nature of the libertarian movement, which recognizes no status distinctions between individuals of different countries, is being dramatically demonstrated by our friends north of the border. Inspired by our successes in the United States, Canadian libertarians will hold the first national convention of the Libertarian Party of Canada on October 25th through 28th in Toronto. They hope to have approximately 50 people in attendance, half as many as we had in Denver in 72, from a population 1/10 that of the United States. So that's actually pretty impressive. Libertarian activity in Canada has been accelerating steadily in the last 2 years. They now boast a first-rate magazine, Option. I've never heard of that. I will try to pick some of those up. And libertarian activist groups in several provinces. Representatives from these latter will form the nucleus of the Canadian LP. While legal considerations make it impossible for the U.S. and Canadian parties to offer each other more than moral support, your editor wishes to extend good wishes to our Canadian friends on behalf of the entire U.S. party and wishes the best of luck to the LPC's chairman pro tem, Marshall Bruce Evoy. I know what it's like being in his position. That is interesting. I did not know any of this. Is Option still the name of the newsletter or magazine of the LP of Canada? Because I'd like to try to find some issues of that. I would just be curious. Okay, so back to talking about what's going on with the U.S. parties. New Jersey LP is moving into high gear on the Goodson for Governor campaign. See insert. Okay, hopefully I have this insert. They have produced an excellent campaign brochure bearing the headline, "You are not a natural resource," and an attractive bumper sticker saying, "Goosen for Ungovernor." In addition, NJLP continues to publish a well-written, entertaining newsletter. Premise: Goodson, who is on the ballot, received a fantastic write-up in the Point Pleasant Reporter. I'll look this up on newspapers.com. The story on his campaign in the NJLP was the major front page story in the Reporter's August 8th issue. It continued on page 2 and totaled a full page. We strongly urge all LP members to make a small contribution to the Goodson campaign. As you can see, there is a typo. Here it says Goosen for Ungovernor. It should say Goodson. I know, I'm criticizing a newsletter that's almost 50 years old. Or is 50 years old. Or almost. I don't. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying. New York LP, the Free Libertarian Party, is devoting the bulk of its efforts at this time to the New York City elections. Meanwhile, Sandy Cohen is gaining momentum in his campaign for the 74 congressional race in upstate Poughkeepsie. You can help Sandy raise funds and get some good nuts and bolts information on how to run a campaign, and it gives you information on how to do that. Ohio LP members conducted a survey to find out how the public at large feels about the idea of impeaching President Nixon. They found that many people do not understand what impeachment is. And that is Still correct today. Most people do not understand what impeachment is. And that only about 25% of those surveyed favor impeachment. About 300 people signed impeachment petitions, despite many people's fears that signing such a petition would result in government harassment. Ryan, actually, though, I'm pretty impressed, considering this was done on a typewriter, that there's so few errors. I mean, we make errors now with frickin' word processors where it's nothing to correct. Where on a typewriter, these guys were hardcore. And I'm just picturing David Nolan. Susan probably typed it, though. Because here I am being a bit sexist, saying Susan typed it instead of David. Why would I think that? Shame on me. Oklahoma LP held its second annual convention in Oklahoma City on August 18th and 19th. Their new state chairman is Tom Laurent of Norman. Plans were finalized for a booth at the state fair September 21st through 30th. A petition drive to qualify, and we still have troubles in Oklahoma. We spent so much money on ballot access in Oklahoma for the ballot, and another petition drive to require a referendum before new taxes can be levied, with 2/3 approval required. Now, here is our hero, who still comes into these streams sometimes. National XCOM member D. Frank Robinson held a press conference to unveil a new plan which would make campaign contributions anonymous. He has contacted semi-libertarian Congressman Steve Sims, Republican Idaho, concerning his proposal. At one time, we considered Steve Sims one of us. Oregon LP also held its second annual convention on August 18th. Featured speakers included Tony Nathan, Jim Casterline, and Herb. Look at the way he spelled Herb. I wonder if that's a mistype, because I've never seen Herb spelled H-U-R-B. Herb Booth. New state chairman is Laura Bells. Tony Nathan and Paul, oh God, there's a missing, Preferder? I can't pronounce that name. Ferdner? I'm going to guess Ferdner will probably be candidates for state legislature next year. I'd like to buy a vowel, please. Texas LP has new officers chosen at their convention in June. Sarah Helber is the new chairman, and Mike Holmes, who was the editor of American Libertarian, who still writes me to this day but is no longer a fan of the LP, is vice chairman. Texas Libertarian Party participated in a seminar at the University of Texas at Austin and has been receiving good media coverage. Local groups have been producing and distributing LP literature. Guy Story Brown of Dallas has been handling the Lone Star State's bid for the 74 LP Con, and they did win. It was in Dallas. Okay, we had bits and pieces continued here. Herbert Spencer's classic piece, The Right to Ignore the State. Do I have that? I think I might have that. I'll have to check. It's back in print. The Great Libertarian Record, 1984 by Spirit, long impossible to find, is now out on an album, The Best of Spirit. We played this song on a past episode of LP Time Capsule, and I got copyright struck for it. It's an okay song. I don't know if I would call it a great libertarian song. It's kind of cheesy, but I would look it up if you guys are interested in hearing it. I'm not going to play it again because I'll get copyright struck, but it's 1984 by a group called Spirit. Economist George Hagedorn, writing in NAM Reports, controls will be ended quite simply because the economic damage they are doing has become so obvious and so severe they can no longer be tolerated. Sure hope you're right, George. Okay. And then it gives information how LP News is published. And I think that's the end, but let's see if we have that insert. Well, there is an insert. Let's see if it's the one we thought it was. Okay, let me give you the next page. There's that gold Liber sign pin again. They used to be able to order. We can't order them. Oh, it's in. Okay, well then I've got Michael Malice's Anarchist Handbook, so perhaps maybe for a bonus episode, let me let me jot this down. We will go over Right to Ignore the State. See, I'm coming up with all kinds of bonus episodes. See, I enjoy this a lot more than LP drama. All right. So on this order form, it seemed like there was at one time a lot of these gold-plated Lieber sign pins, but I've never seen one. I would love to get one, but they were something that you could always order back in the day, apparently. Then there's a welfare state poster. Okay, it has this quote: "A welfare state is what happens when you let a government of the people and for the people by the people." That is really great. A super thought provoker. Hang one on your wall. It's suitable for framing. And watch the collectivist sputter. Order a bunch. Background information sheets. Okay, so it's I don't think I've ever seen these. A single sheet summary of the LP's history, philosophy, and goals. That would be great to see. I haven't seen that yet, I don't think. And then a bunch of other things you can order on the right-hand side. I would love to have seen that background information sheet. Okay, this wasn't the insert that was mentioned earlier. We are missing an insert. But anyway, this is interesting. And then this special bonus that you can get. Okay, that is it for that entire issue, but it spawned a bunch of things that we can do bonus episodes on. Cowboy had a question: when was secession removed from the platform? It was there in 72. Are you sure it was there in 72? I don't think we had secession in the platform in 72, but we can find out. Let's look. Let me go back here. Why am I there? Hold on. I want to go to here. Ha! Okay. Let me look up the 72 platform on Lpedia. Okay, yeah, I don't have all the platforms memorized. Did it use the word secession, though? Or did it use something like political autonomy or political self-determination? Because the word secession's kind of been spoiled. And we usually try to say it in different words. National platform, 1972. I'll pull this up so you can see. Once I get it up. Ha! That's what she said. We'll look. Okay, here's the platform from 72. So let me do a search for the word. Yep, right here you are correct. Secession was in the 72 platform. Okay, you are correct. Let's see if it stayed in the 74 platform, because this, and it probably did. It doesn't, hold on. I don't see it. Let's see. It might not be in the 74 platform. Yep, it is. So, '76. If I had to guess, it was removed in the Portland massacre, which was 2006. But let's just see if it stayed in the 70s. Okay. Since it stayed throughout the 70s pretty stably, let me look up the 2000 platform, which to me is the best platform the party ever had. National platform 2002, and see if it was in there. Okay. Okay, it was in there. All right, 2004 platforms, when they went to that funky-ass format, which was awful, and that is why the massacre happened. I know people don't like me saying that, but it is true. Okay. Okay, it was still in 2004. Now, 2006 is when the platform was gutted. So I think my guess is right. It was moved in removed in 2006. So let's see. 2006. 0. It was removed in 2006. I was correct. if your question ever is, when was X removed from the platform? If you say 2006, you will be right 90% of the time. Because that was a dark day in party history. Alrighty, let's go back here. All right, that's all I've got. Unless there are more questions. You guys stayed with... See, you're the hardcore group here that loves party history. To sit through an hour and a half of just going through a couple months. And Ryan asked that, yes and no. I'm going to answer your question. Ryan said, Portland Massacre was the birth of the Rads. Right. It was the birth of this iteration of the Radical Caucus. The Radical Caucus is actually the oldest caucus in the party. The Radical Caucus existed, I think, 1973 was the first iteration because they were very responsible for the Dallas Accord. And that one lasted through 78-ish maybe. And then there was a second iteration, which was a non-voting advocacy, which was really weird. Conklin was part of it. And then 2008, Susan Hogarth, Murray Strauss, and Mark Montoni formed what you guys now know as the Radical Caucus. Let's see how close I am on my dates, because we do have this documented somewhat on LPDS. So Radical Caucus. Okay, let me just pull this up so we can see these dates. And then I got to take off probably because I got minutes to do. All right, here. Libertarian, anti-voting. I thought the 79 one was anti-voting. I had them flipped. Okay, so the Libertarian Radical Caucus formed in 72. Anti-voting, anti-party. That's interesting. That's in the party. Dissolved mid-70s. Then 1979 to 1984. Yeah, Kunkin the Agorist was the one in the 72 one. I had them flipped. They were around. Then there was the Rothbard Caucus, which used a lot of the same talking points. That was around 2004. And then the current Libertarian Party Radical Caucus. I don't know why it says 2006 there. I'm pretty sure they didn't form it till 2008. But I would have to ask Susan or Mark that. But yeah, it's been through many iterations, but as you can see, it is, even though it hasn't been continuous, the idea of it is the oldest caucus in the party, and they were directly invited to the party by David Nolan. Alrighty, y'all. I think this is it, and thank you, Ryan, for saying the history brought you to the party. I'm going to take off now, I think. Let me get back to here. I have updated, let me take this off the screen, my fancy pants program. I have updated my closing outro for the patrons. So, and Reardon, you came right at the end. It's all the hardcores. Yeah, so I have updated the closing screen. So everyone should be on there because I have gotten some new patrons over the next few days, and I do try to send out my postcards and update the closing screen right away to give proper credit. I will see you guys probably tomorrow. Not sure what I'll be broadcasting on, but it will be on something. Good night, you all. I hope you keep tight. Don't let the big buds bite. That used to just gross me out so bad. Anyway, I don't know what made me think of that. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.